I can see how this place is gaining massively in popularity compared to going over to Goodwill. I could see why the parking lot was empty at one place, brand new building, and it was jam-packed at the other. Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, y'all, I accidentally went thrifting today with my wife. Her car has been in the shop, and we went to go pick it up today, and I was driving to my dad's truck, or Jeep, and she's like, I got stuff in there I gotta donate, let's go over here, let's do this. And I saw some things that if I was Goodwill, I would be concerned. And I'm gonna talk about something that I've never talked about before on here in regards to what I was going to do before I picked up this camera and started YouTube. So as you know, we donate to different places. Now my wife won't donate to Goodwill anymore. But it was funny because I was driving over to this thrift store that she is now donating to sometimes. Sometimes it goes to the women's shelter here, and sometimes it goes, it's been a while, but the Blessing Place down there. Another Hulkamania keychain sold, y'all, $12.95 plus shipping. And I've got to go turn this AC off, but I'll keep the story going. So on the way over to this thrift store, I drove past the big, gigantic new Goodwill. There's one car in the parking lot. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. That normally doesn't happen. We normally see more cars than that over there. I've been to that one, I think, twice ever. Just massive building, expensive building. And we go over to this other privately owned, I don't know if it's privately owned, it's a charity. I'll talk about it here in a second. And we go over to this other thrift store, and we couldn't even get in the parking lot. Line for donations, well, not a line to get in, but lines inside, tons of people shopping. And I want to talk about where I think, if I was eBay and saw that if I was Goodwill and saw that in this town especially, or particularly, I would be really concerned. Now keep in mind here, a little context. This is the Goodwill, and if you follow my Facebook, the dog's right here, I don't want to open the door on him. If you follow my Facebook, you may remember this. Come on out. You don't want to come out? All right, you can stay in there, but he's not going to want to stay in there now. He's going to cry. I better let him out. There was a story on, come on. Want this treat? Watch. Come on. There you go. I know you don't, you're going to cry as soon as I leave. There was a story, and it got national, I don't know about national press, but it was viral, let's just say that. And it was a Goodwill in Lynchburg. And they had taken somebody's donation, and I think they went into shop, and they came out and they literally saw it all getting thrown in the trash compactor in the back, and they were not very happy about it. Jess is here, y'all. Thanks for finally coming in, Jess. She just goes on vacations whenever she wants now. By the way, I'm going on vacation. I can't carry this. What am I doing? Hold on. All right, I got it. She's laughing at me. These are all listed, and there's a single in here that's sold for really good money. So this may be more local, but my guess is, because this stuff seems to be working, there's this thrift store. It's a private, I'm gonna call it private. It's not, it actually does something. I'm gonna tell you about what I wanted to do, because they're kind of going along these same lines. And I almost did this, but instead I decided to try YouTube out because it took less capital to start. I've got to bring these back there. There's some space because they've been selling. But before I do, that is the one, Gwar. That one sold right there. Single CD, $44.95 plus shipping. So ever since I started teaching, I've had a side gig. It's been reselling for 25 years to help, support my family, to get by on one income for a family. And one of the ideas that I really was researching, looking for a building even actually at the time, was to compete with Goodwill. And there were three things that led me to this that made me think this would work. Well, four if you count the fact that I would go to Goodwill all the time and I would see the prices going up all the time. And I was like, man, this is starting to be a little crazy here. So that right there was one of the things. But I worked in a public school, and there was a lot of kids. I've talked about this before. Really, really wealthy kids and really, really poor kids. It was not a middle-class school whatsoever. And I taught really low-level classes, and I taught the highest-level classes. And because of that, I was pulling kids up from those very low-level classes to get into these really elite classes. They were never going to be students at the top of their class, but they were at least with them at that point, and they were, I don't know, it's not that they were trying, they were achieving at a lower level, but they were actually pushing themselves and achieving. And I was like, man, you get to know these kids by the time they graduate and whatever, see where they're going to college. And I thought one way we could do this is to incorporate some kind of a scholarship system into a local community or with local schools, where a cut of the profits of this thrift store would go to those kids. I thought, man, you could even employ these kids. They would love that. They could be getting a percentage, like, let's just hypothetically say you're paying a wage, of course, and then at the end of every month, you take the profits and you share the profits with the employees. But you share it in a form of scholarship. So they're getting their wage for working, and then, I don't know, let's say the place makes 10 grand in a month or something. You divide it up by the hours that these people work. Kids could be actually putting money into an educational savings account through this business. And I was like, that would be great. Or the parents or the grandparents could come in and work and designate it for one of their kids. Maybe they're not even working. And then I would see these other student-run organizations. I was the head of the National Honor Society that were doing these things for these nonprofits all over the place. And they were always looking for hours. And I'm like, man, you could have these NHS kids that a lot of them had a lot of money and a lot of success. They need these hours for community service. They could come in and work for free. I was like, man, this thing could really, really work. And you could get schools and communities, churches, all these people behind it. And you could hopefully provide better prices and bring in some of these other nonprofits when they need stuff, school supplies, for instance, stuff like that. And you could partner. I said, this could be like a win-win-win-win-win for everybody except for Goodwill. Obviously, I didn't do it. So weeks before I picked up this camera for the first time, I was looking at a particular building, and I sat down with a couple of moneyed interests in the community that were on board, and it was just out of our reach without me investing a lot of, well, not a lot, but to me back then it was a lot of money for my family that I just couldn't afford to do. Flash forward 5 years, and things started to happen along those lines, but not with me. But I'm still glad they did. 999 large. Juice World. So we got Hogan. He's passed away, and his stuff selling. Juice World has as well, and I have one more coming up. This one took a while, y'all. I bought that in Arizona a year and a half ago or longer, and it finally sold at 30% off, $20.97 plus shipping. Shout out Hustle Man. He took me out and drove me around that day in Arizona. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Follow him on Instagram. So, you know, it's still always been on my mind, especially because it's not as pressing on my mind because I don't see those kids every day. You know, those kids that clearly they don't have any money. They don't have any money, but I see the potential in those kids. It's like, man, you could set something up like this. The community would get behind it, especially if they were in there working. You could get support. You could get donations. Undoubtedly, you could do that, especially working through the National Honor Societies of the high schools and the churches around. And I really, really wanted to do it. And I did not. I chose not to. I picked up this camera instead, and I don't regret that at all. But it has been since, 2019. And a few years back, there's this other thrift store now, not Goodwill. And they've been growing and growing. I've been learning about them. Check this out. This is what they're doing. They're not doing it for scholarships and whatever. But this thrift store, it's run so nicely, y'all. It's crazy. I'll talk about the prices and stuff. But if I was Goodwill and I looked at that parking lot of that brand new building, and then I looked at the parking lot of the thrift store right down the road that was just bustling with donations and business, I'd be like, maybe we shouldn't have thrown all that stuff in the recycling bin and got on the news here in town, because everybody is donating to this place. They partner with local nonprofits, and they get a portion of the money. They get, I think, the roundups and whatever. Let me read it. It says on their website, each year, Mission Thrift supports selected nonprofit organizations. It prioritizes the organizations supporting children, families, and vulnerable individuals. And so they're getting I don't know if they have systems behind the scene, people that come in to help or what. I don't know what they do. I really am not educated about this, but that's why people are giving there. I'm not saying Goodwill doesn't do great and wonderful things for some people. I have no doubt that they do. It's just ambiguous compared to this. And when you want to know that your donations are going here, this is what it's going for, this is the purposes. I'm sure there's a profit component. I don't know if this is completely nonprofit. Nobody does all this work. Like, I wasn't going to do that and not make money. There was going to be a place for me to run it and make an income from it. There's no doubt. And I have no doubt that that's what's going on here. But man, the support of this place, I've been in there before, but it's been a long time. They now have 3 locations. They've bought up the old Goodwill buildings, rented, leased, I don't know what they did. And they're using those, so those locations are already places that people have gone. And I'm like, man, my wife loves it there. They had stuff, you walk in the door and they had kids' backpacks, back to school for $1. You know, used, but still. The prices are just slightly under the Goodwills. Most of the time. Some of them are over. Some of them are way under. They're still pricing things as it's like CDs are all this price. DVDs are all this price. T-shirts are all this price, unless otherwise marked. And you do see that. It's not like everything had an individual price. There's a bunch of workers in there. It was completely clean. All of the electronics were organized by what type of electronic. There was a sign that said everything is tested, 7-day guarantee return. I'm like, this is unreal. The ties weren't just thrown in something. They were just meticulously put up there, priced lower than you see at the Goodwill. The hats were all in one. The hats were all the same price. I'm like, man, this feels like the treasure hunt that Goodwill used to be. And y'all, the place was, like I said, meticulous. And the employees were wonderful. And here you go. This is a Tupac. See, there you go. It's the day of deceased celebrities. 1, 2, 3 of them. So this one right here, Tupac Rolling Stones. A lot of Rolling Stones don't go for a ton, but this one went for $20.97 plus shipping. I mean, they had everything. Like, there was a baby section, the baby clothes. It's not all hung on racks or have these steel things where everything's just thrown on there. They were divided up by size into batches. Like, hey, if you need onesies, you know, buy 3 for this price or whatever. And they had a little bow on them. I'm like, this is crazy. They had stuff on the walls that clearly somebody either came in to do this, donated their time or something, where they had wooden racks with the little black piping and whatever. Everything looked amazing. It was a very, very easy to shop it. Like, if I wanted to find pots and pans, I wouldn't have to look through all these racks to find. I would go to the pots and pans that were all on this table with tiers, and you could see them all in one spot. And it all had the pricing and whatever. And like I said, the pricing isn't that much cheaper than Goodwill. Some things are a little above, but some things are definitely under. And it looked to me at certain times of year like it's back to school. So the kids' t-shirts, all that stuff was right out front, super cheap. And I'm like, huh, I can see how this place is gaining massively in popularity compared to going over to Goodwill. I could see why the parking lot was empty at one place, brand new building, and it was jam-packed at the other. I mean, they were overflowing with stuff. There was stuff out in the parking lot. They were putting dirt cheap prices on it because they had to get it gone. They've got different locations. I was like, I think that this is a model that could really, really do damage to what Goodwill is doing in a good way, right? Being connected to the local communities. You start working with these other nonprofits and start giving them money. They start saying, hey, people, go donate over there. Do your shopping over there. Or if they have people in need, they say, hey, go over here and they'll take care of you and they'll get you this stuff that you need or whatever it is. I'm like, man, Goodwill, I think I don't know if it's jumped the shark. It's all different in different places, but it's clear cut. You know what you're giving to, you know who's running it, you know it's running well, you know the money's staying in the community. And I think that this could be a big problem because it's working really, really well. I think it's probably going to start popping up all over the place and be successful and give us another place to source and a little competition maybe to keep those thrifting prices down. And here's the other thing. I saw stuff in there. It wasn't necessarily priced at the point where I was definitely going to buy it. It was close, but stuff in there that I just don't even see in Goodwill anymore. I'm sorry, bud. I didn't mean to distract you. He said, I'm going to go sleep over there. There you go. Bella Taylor bag. It's not Vera Bradley, but we picked it up anyways because it's brand new. And that looks pretty nice. So if you ever see Bella Taylor, they sell about as good as Vera Bradley. A little less, but with new tags, it does okay. $22.95 plus shipping. I saw resellers in there comping like you would at a normal thrift store, just openly comping everything. Everybody was nice. They were bringing out new stuff. Everything was moving along. It was clean. That's what I couldn't believe about it. It was so organized and so clean. Even the people, when you walk in the door, they're like, welcome, hey, how you doing, and whatever. You guys are going to do good. My wife goes there all the time, and she usually just buys stuff for herself, but occasionally she brings stuff home for me to sell. There was a jacket in there that I almost bought. Well, I was under a time crunch because I had a meeting here. I told my wife about it, and I told one of the resellers as I was walking out. I showed him a picture. I'm like, go back. You might want to get this. I don't know if you do clothes. But it was I can't remember the brand, but it was an American flag leather jacket, and I looked up the comp. They wanted $30 for it. It was really nice. I looked up the comps, and the lowest comp I saw was $58 and change, and it had damage all over it. The highest comp for that jacket was $225. This one was in pretty good shape. I think easily $100, easily. I probably should have got it now that I'm talking about it, but hopefully that guy got it. We'll see. But, you know, that's about where they're at on some of that stuff. But you might not even see that jacket, or it would be priced at $60 in Goodwill. And I'm thinking, it was so easy to find because they had all the nice leather jackets all in one place. They were dividing everything up. It was so awesome. And some Goodwills are different. They do that, right? They divide stuff up. The stores are different. They're clean, whatever. But compared to around here, there was so much more in there, so much more activity, so much more value. You're just comfortable. You know, I mean, hey, to advertise, hey, guaranteed, we've tested this thing. They didn't put any junk out there. Like, if it was trash, it wasn't on the floor. And that's kind of refreshing, too. You may remember me saying, do you guys want out? Is that what you want? Looks like you want out now. Must have heard Turner out there. You may remember saying I made a mistake shipping with the Peppa. So this is part of it. There's actually 3 Peppas that sold. You're only going to see 2 because I had to fix one of them. But one sold for $15 and the other sold for $18 and one sold for $16. And we've already sold other lots. We made a lot. We paid $10 for all of it at a garage sale, and so well over $100. Probably in profit, I think, at this point. That's a helicopter. But some Peppa stuff, if you have the whole set and a lot of figures, they can go for good money. These are just kind of run-of-the-mill. $17, $18 plus shipping on these, but the big ones we've already sold for, I know one sold for $50, the other one sold I think for $40. We've sold a few other ones, so definitely some good money. So it had the look and the feel and the cleanliness and the atmosphere of a high-end thrift store, and had low-end thrift store prices. So I don't know, have you guys seen any of these private expansions of thrift stores for different purposes, for different missions? And do you think that this could be, well, it could be a much bigger system, I suppose. You could expand these. I mean, Goodwill was tiny when it started 120 some years ago and started to expand. I could see the expansion of something like this, but I like it much better if it's really tied to the community and people start these places up all over the place. Do you guys have any of those private thrift stores that, when I'm saying private, I don't know if they're really private, but you know what I mean, that are partnering with the community, for the community, and employing people, doing all those things that Goodwill says it does, but they're doing it in a much more transparent, local way, and in a better way that you think it actually threatens the big thrifters, the big thrifts. I just realized that 2 of these sales were to viewers. Hopefully you haven't got mad at me and turned off, because you won't hear your thank you. The Juice World shirt. I'm so excited to buy something to support you. Thanks for all the knowledge you give us, viewers and fellow resellers. I love learning about all of it. So, Jerry, I appreciate that. I apologize I didn't say it when we pulled the t-shirt. And I missed a thank you. I think it's to Julie. It's on Paul's account as well. I think that's right. I could have screwed it up, but my granddaughters will love these. Thank you so much. That was the Peppa Pig stuff, and I really do appreciate you. And I've got another topic I want to talk about today, because I was mentioned in a video the other day, and it got me thinking, plus something happened last week when I was at some highway sales. And I sold this Coach sunglasses. I can't get it out unless I pull the door open a little bit more. And I bought it because the case and the glasses were messed up, but I decided to sell the case and the glasses together. So the Coach case alone has got some value. Had it listed for $20. I took an offer. But the sunglasses have a little scratching. You can barely see it right there. Enough so that I wouldn't necessarily wear them, but maybe you could, I don't know. It's pretty minor. At any rate, I sold them together and I took a little discount. I can't remember, but they were at 20, so a little less than that. Yeah, dog, you just left, bud. You just left. You went back in? So 17-ish plus shipping, I think. Come on. You sure are fickle today. Whenever somebody mentions me on a video, I get tons of messages like stream in. I'm like, it's okay. It's not that big a deal. But I went and listened to this one as well. You know, that's what happens. People do these videos. This is about the resale brothers. This is no critique on you guys. You guys look like you're amazingly disciplined, hardworking folks putting out good content as well. So much respect for you. I've watched a couple of your videos in the past as well. And it's not my cup of tea, you know, it's clothing for the most part, and I don't want to sound insulting because it's not my cup of tea. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to get the right words here. It's so systematic that it would make my brain explode, but I also acknowledge the fact that that is what some people need, and that is how you can scale at a large rate when you're not an everything seller. And so, like I said, much props to you. I'm more of a mom and pop reseller, and I'm proud of it. And the title of the video is ranking the top eBay resellers on YouTube and who's legit. It's not really exactly what they did because they're like me. They don't want to offend anybody either, right? They're just putting out information. And I was mentioned in there along with a lot of other people. And I've been selling for a long time, and they were looking at, like, I think how many sales people had. And I've had a bunch. I've been at it for a long time. And to make a judgment, this isn't really a critique. It's just because of some of the comments and stuff that I got, it's more of a response that I think, and I think they're aware of this too. You know, it's difficult to judge, you know, if you're selling on eBay, if you're selling on different platforms and how they do, you know, if you're trying to expose somebody who's really not doing what they're saying they're doing, you got to dig into it and really find out what exactly they're doing. That's why I talk about my numbers to some degree on here. There are some people who are resellers who sell on multiple platforms, and you can't see all of the success that they have. But I personally don't think it's necessarily the best. If you're going to rank people on YouTube, I don't know. I don't know how you rank people, right? I don't really care. But I would say to the viewers out there, I think it's important. Of course, you got to trust the people you listen to, or you shouldn't be listening to them, or take it with a grain of salt. But I would say find the people who do the things you want the way you do them, and find those people, because there are so many different methods, so many different platforms, live selling, non-live selling, eBay, Depop, Poshmark, Mercari, we go on and on forever, all these different platforms that people have and the different methods that people have. There are so many ways to relate. You know, I can imagine if I was a young guy out there, I think of my boy, if he wanted to get into reselling, this is his type of personality. That's what he doesn't have. I'm not saying you don't have a love for reselling, but his motivation would be to scale and to make money and to push labor off on other people and then scale some more and then do it again and then do it again. And that's not for me necessarily, but it is for a lot of folks out there. And you guys look like you're killing it. By the way, the reason I mention that is really not to talk about their video or anything like that. It's to give a slightly different perspective and to clear the air on one thing. Because we have this tendency to want to prove ourselves all the time. I have it too. All of us have it out there. We want to talk about our numbers. We want to do this like I do it the best way. I do it, whatever. And that stuff kind of disappeared for a while. And I feel like it's coming back. WCW NWO skull cap Sting, and that one sold 766 is all. Like I said, it really did disappear, and I didn't see a whole bunch of people using the measuring stick like I used to, and the cookie cutter, the ways of doing things. And I've seen it start to creep back in. Not that these guys did that. They really didn't. That wasn't the point. The point probably was to get some views because, you know, who doesn't want to watch a video like that, right? Who doesn't want to chime in? This is my favorite YouTuber. This is whatever. And that one did well. And I've done videos like that in the past too. And they do pretty well. But I think it's really important that you really do find what you are looking for. There are so many. Who's not going to watch a channel There's going to be a lot of people who don't watch a channel that is very about, you know, the numbers, scaling it, and this is what you do, because they're not in that point in their life. They're a part-time reseller who loves to go to yard sales and make $600-800 a month, $200 a month, $4,000 a month, whatever it is. And so you got to find your right little niche in this community and follow those people. But I also think it's important, you know, to go outside of your niche a little bit too and explore the opportunities, because there are so many that you may not really gravitate towards. But once you see it in action, you can implement parts of it into your business. I've done that like crazy. There's a lot of parts of my business that I didn't used to do that I do now, and it has become pretty profitable. Do you want out or not? You were up there barking. I said, oh, that's what you wanted. You wanted your buddy to be in here with you. And there was 2 more things I wanted to clear up. One's pretty simple. Somebody had been making comments that I was abandoning eBay, and I don't know if they're trying to serve their own purposes or moving away from eBay because I'm doing my dip-to-date marketplaces and I don't want to sell on eBay anymore. That could not be farther from the truth. And I just thought I would make a comment about that. This is a Leatherman. I paid $15 for this at a sale. It was a sale that had a box of knives and all kinds of stuff, and everything looked really expensive. But when I saw Leatherman, I was like, I'm going to grab that. And this one turned out to be pretty good. It's Leatherman Charge. This one sold for $100 plus shipping pretty quickly. If you watch me, you know that I'm not only not abandoning eBay, I am doubling down on it. I'm trying to make the most I've made on eBay ever this year, and we are on pace. But at the same time, I'm expanding, and that is into those dip-to-date marketplaces that we've started. But 95% of that expansion over there is not static buy it now selling like we do on eBay. It is live selling. So that's one little point of record. And then one more. If you're looking for somebody to follow and all you're doing is looking at their eBay store, it might not tell the whole story. Plus, like, to look at the track record. And they were very complimentary of me. So, and they look like, what are your names? Tony and Christian, best of luck to you. I will forgive the fact that one of you said my channel looked a little clickbaity. Especially because you did a video that was ranking the top eBay sellers and you didn't rank them. Anyway, I'm just playing with you. It might, obviously, I've talked about it forever. You know, I'm trying to get clicks on the video, and oftentimes what's in the video is a reaction to what's on the title. But you guys look like extremely hardworking guys and disciplined, like I said, and you guys are going to go a long way for sure. So the second part was, you know, you look at a total sold in an eBay store, for instance, and I had some critiques and some people sent me messages about, you know, is this true? Is this whatever? Yeah, we've got 15,000 feedback. We've been selling forever, but that only tells part of the story. I've had 3 eBay accounts over the years, and, you know, I thought I was going to start a second one and specialize and whatever, and then that one turned into this big store that we only use exclusively. So a lot of my early eBay sales aren't even on this store. But yeah, you should check into stuff, right? If somebody's saying, hey, I'm a $500,000 eBay seller, and you can't look at their eBay store, you know, that's definitely a good point. And they made that point in here as well. But there are a lot of sellers that they mentioned, other people mention all the time, that predominantly don't sell on eBay. And not anymore anyways. And so that is an issue as well. So follow the folks that really do what you do, or that you just purely enjoy and you can learn from. And there's lots to learn out there. I learn every single day. And most of the time I learn from the viewers who watch my Commonwealth Picker channel. I appreciate that. And I had one more reason that I gotta go this way, y'all. Brought that video up. I'll have to tell you in a second. But this was the 3rd viewer sale of the day, y'all. It was a crazy day. We appreciate all of you for doing that. There might have been 4, which would have been a lot for one day. Schoolhouse Rock sealed. Bought this at a sale the other day, and the only reason I bought it is because it was sealed. Disney Presents Schoolhouse Rock. And then you got the bill right there. I thought, my kids have probably never seen it before. Conjunction Junction, what's your function? It's got all these different ones. I was like, maybe I'll bore them to tears one day in place of social studies lessons or something. I don't know. Anyway, this one sold for $14.25 plus shipping. And y'all, I am more concerned than my numbers. I'm pretty proud of my numbers for a guy in a shed in my backyard who does most of it by himself, with the exception of the live selling, and I get some help from my wife and from Jess for the live selling. So, and my kids a little bit, although Turner really doesn't help, y'all. He doesn't. He did help me go garage selling this week, though. That was really nice. He was out shopping for presents for Reagan's birthday. Thought he found some good stuff. Anyway, thanks for the offer. I'm starting to buy presents for my grandkids, and this will be a great addition. I'm just a Bill. Haha, I loved Schoolhouse Rock when I was a kid a long time ago. Talk about nostalgia. Happy day, Mary Ann. Mary Ann, thank you. Angels Vintage Treasures on eBay. The next ones I really thought twice about buying, but I'm like, you know what? Somebody's going to want these things, and I want to be able to be the one to bring it to them. And they were $2 a piece. There were 5 of them, and I think I paid $1.50 a piece. So what is that? $7.50? And I probably paid $8 because it was a big bundle. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle wrapping paper. Unfortunately, this is not vintage. This is anything but vintage. But I bought them anyways because I'm like, yeah, somebody's going to buy them, and maybe it's a viewer. I don't think it ended up being a viewer. I'm just going to grab 2 here because I can't put 4 in my hand, and you'll kind of get the gist of it. They're, like I said, modern. See, look at that. Big Lot's $2.50. So there were, I don't think they produce it now. Obviously, Big Lots, I think, is out of business, right? Or at least the local one is. And so we sold 5 of these for $24.95, and I'm into them for $8. So not exactly a huge money maker, but I'm glad I did it anyways. When I bought it, one of the factors was that I thought I could fit them in a 4x4x48. Now I'm looking at them. There's no chance these are getting in this box. So I'll have to find another box, which makes me regret buying them, but I don't think I can get them in. The length is fine. I think I could get 4 in there, but I don't think I could get 5. So we're gonna have to find a different option, unfortunately, for that one. You can cut these open, make them bigger. So you just slice it that way, and then put another one on top and add 2 sections to it. It makes it wider, but you're using 2 boxes. That's probably what I'll do. There's one comment on that video that I have to read to you. It says, somebody, Hula Shack, said y'all said very nice things about me, as you always do. I really appreciate that. I hope I'm worthy of it. Sometimes I read it and I'm like, man, they think I'm just gonna have to hire you as a publicist. Because I'm just like anybody else. We all have our issues. Kevin, cool peeps, like him. I read that and I'm like, okay, this is from Corey. And then this is the rest of the comment. He can take one negative comment from a viewer and make an hour video about it. Oh, poor me. I had 22 people unsubscribe over this comment or situation. Cry me a river. I don't know what to think of that. It was so nice and then it turned into that. But I will just say, yeah, very valid, very true. I do like to talk. So, Corey, I don't know if I'm thanking you for that comment, but I'm not turning it into an hour video. But you did get about 40 seconds. Thanks. Sold another lot of CDs. Let me tell you. These are good ones, y'all. Don't just start going out and buy. I just looked at a bunch of CDs today. Not one was worth buying. But this particular lot I got over on Shop Commons was even way better than I thought it was going to be. If I can find it. Social Distortion. Let's see if it's in here. It might still... Oh, wait. It might be in my bucket down here. I don't know. We did a bunch. I listed them at different times and didn't get it all in. I think it might still be in this box that I brought this in. See if I can not wake the dogs up. Let's see. There it is. Nope. Alright, I'm gonna have to look for it. I don't see it, so I gotta go out here. I know there was one that we still didn't bring in here. Maybe I'll bug Jess one more time. She got some music on in there. I'll have to turn the camera off. Alright, I found another one, but it wasn't the right one, which means that the right one has to still be in that box, and I just thought they were singles instead of a lot. So looking at it this way, they look like singles. There it is right there. Social Distortion. It's a big lot. That was 10 of them. And they were sold as a lot. That's the way I like to do it. You could get individually more money, but you're going to sit on them forever. They're all Social Distortion right there. Which, Ball and Chain, y'all, is one of my favorite songs. I love it. It's got a good little tempo and pace to it. Kind of reminded me, if you listen to it, it won't remind you at all of it, but the old Fall Guy theme song. Just that kind of monotone voice going on with the guitar. Anyway, that one sold for, I think I had listed for 50, took an offer for 45, 44, nope, that's not right. 47.45 for that one, so 5% off offer on that one, plus shipping. My wife called. I had to turn the AC on while she was getting it cooled down in here. It's been hot. One more thing about that, you know, I know a lot of these folks out there, a lot of these creators. I've met them, I talked to them, some of them I'm friends with. And I tell you what, fully half, just remember this, of what I read about them and what I see people say about them just simply isn't true. I know that for a fact. And so keep that in mind when you hear something bad about me, or good for that matter, is the likelihood of it being real is, it's questionable. This might be that 4th viewer sale that I was talking about. I think it is. So 4 viewer sales today. That was very kind of y'all. I picked this one up. Autographed baseballs like this a lot of times aren't worth any money. But this one happened to be a Carolina League baseball. It's an old one. And I bought it around here. So I just assumed that these people who signed it were Lynchburg Hillcats. They were actually not. I saw the Jim Bibby signature on there. And I'm like, you know what? This is probably back in the Lynchburg Red Sox era. And that turned out to be what it was. Scott Cooper's on there and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sell it like it's a regular baseball. Put it out there for around 15 bucks and somebody can grab it. I paid $1 for it, so it seemed like a good deal. That's what we did, 15 plus shipping. And somebody got it 5% off. They probably got it with the code right there. They use code Commonwealth. You could do that as well. If you put code Commonwealth in, you can get 5% off. And Janice, All-Star Flips, grab this one. Cool find, Kevin. Fun fact, I went to Bridgeton Elementary and Pattonville High School with then Lynchburg and future Red Sox and Cardinal third baseman Scott Cooper. Thanks so much for listing this. You're very welcome. You got Jim Bibby on there too. That's probably the biggest name on there as well. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for buying it. I normally don't buy kids clothing, but sometimes I do. And when you get 3 all the exact same size, Johnny Cash, Guns N' Roses, and Pink Floyd, I'm like, yeah, somebody might grab that for their kid, all the same size. 17 bucks plus shipping. And I sold a hat, which is good because they've been slow for, certain times of the year they sell better than others. Spring and summer for me is when I clear a lot of hats out. And I haven't cleared a ton out, so hats are still not popping for sure. I still pick them up, but I have not added a bin. I have 1, 2, 3 big bins and then 1, 2, 3, 4 small bins. And I'm not expanding my hats outside of that. And this one is a Cleveland Indians hat. I guess, what are they? They're not the Indians anymore. What the heck are they? Cleveland, how come I don't remember? Sorry, my mind doesn't work after 1989. The first team I was ever on in Little League was, well, the first non-T-ball team was the Indians. And I had that old logo on there, and I have some fond memories of it. What the heck are their names now? At any rate, it sold. This one was on 30% off, so it was $1 buy, and I listed it for decent money, 16, 17, something like that. I don't know. It sold for $12.57 plus Guardians. Guardians is what they're called, plus shipping. The dog wants back in, which is surprising because Mama's home. Come on. Come on, say goodbye. Come on. We got both of you here. Did they not want to give you pizza? She said there's pizza. At any rate, let me know what's going on out there. Let me know how your sales are this is supposed to be the slowest time of year. We're still chugging along, doing okay. Year-over-year sales are up, month-over-month sales. Last month was pretty good. I got to check that. I got to see. And I'm working, I left a couple days. I'm working towards another little break here coming up before everything gets back started again. I try to do our little breaks after everybody goes back to school because my kids are homeschooled. And so we just let's not start school for another couple weeks, which is pretty nice. Maybe I'll show them Schoolhouse Rock. No, it's sealed. I can't open it up. Also, let me know about Goodwill and let me know about your thrift stores. Are you seeing new non-big box thrift stores, I don't know if that's the right way to call it, popping up and competing. And let me know if Goodwill can recover in certain areas or if you're just done with them completely. So thank y'all for joining us, and I can't wait to see you next time.